Guys, I'm going to talk about tethers today. I'm going to talk about self-rescue, single-handed self-rescue, going over the side. For those of you that haven't watched some of my prior stuff, I'm going to show you my preferred tether system, and I've made an addition to it, so some of this is also new. But basically, if you haven't been kind of following along, I use a 10 millimeter piece of climbing rope, and that's my tether. And I've got, this should be a locking beaner, which I don't have, an extra one because I used it already today on something else. But an old climbing trick is if you've got two regular snap gate carabiners, you can actually make effectively a locking beaner by reversing the gates. So you clip that. This goes to a gree-gree. I'm just going to show you why am I doing this. Okay, so after a bunch of learning and trials, trying to figure out how to self-rescue, this gree-gree, it's a climbing device. It locks. It slides if it's slow, but it locks if it's loaded. So you can walk around the boat like this and bang. Okay, let's say you go over the side, you're being dragged by the boat. I've got a couple of videos on this. One, there's a short and there's a longer version that demonstrate actually a sea trial of this. I'm not going to do that now, but for those of you that haven't been watching or haven't been up to date, the idea here is you're being dragged. How do you get back in the boat? Well, here you go. This is how. Basically, bang, got that. It's a climbing ascending device. And then as you're being dragged, then basically you're going to unclip this. You're going to clip that back on. And now you can put your foot in the stirrup. And basically now, bang, so you're being dragged by the boat. Literally slide this up, it locks, and you just do this all the way up until you're self-rescued out of the boat. So I've got a prior video on that. This is now how I wander around the boat. Yeah, it might be a bit clunky to carry this stuff, but you can see, it's not that clunky. And the analogy that I use is, mountaineers who go on crevassed terrain would feel pretty silly without having this gear with them. And as a single-hander, to me, if you're walking around your boat and you don't have a way to get back in, if you go over the side, you're just being silly. This is actually reasonably clean. There you go, that's it. And it's tethered to me, so the only risk is if I drop this. So you don't want to drop this, if you're in a panic. Nevertheless, pretty clean. And then of course, if all goes for shit, bang, I got a knife here on a tether, its own tether. I can cut myself away as need be. So I find it works really well. The difference is I've now created this shorter. I used to leave it tied to the boat and have it long. It worked. It's a little bit cumbersome going forward, but now this is basically my long tether. And as I was saying, this would normally be a locking carabiner, but I can clip it. It's adjustable. It's nice and long. I've got this stopper knot in here. If it does slip through, it'll stop on the gree-gree. And notwithstanding, I also have this Petzl connect and adjust, which, it's easy, as simple as this to make shorter or longer. The idea being, I got two of them. So those are my two tethers. This one, you're walking around, if you're clipped long and you're doing something on the mast and you go over the side and you weren't clipped short at that instant, you got your way to get back aboard right here. The other thing that I want to chat about is that, these tethers are good. Everybody uses them. The quick release. If you like the quick release, you know, they're a blessing and a curse at the same time. They're a blessing because it's a quick release. They're a curse because there's a quick release. This catches on something and it releases at the wrong time. You're basically dead. If this is your only means of being attached and it unclips, you're dead. I would rather be hard clipped, you know, like this, with regular carabiners. And you know what? If I need to get away, I got a knife. I would rather be in control than not. That's one thing. You know, I do like these beaners. In fact, I may rescue these. You know, the way that they are. These are nice. The problem with these is they are nylon, but it's static sling. Okay, so there are cases that I've read about where somebody takes a bad fall from the boat over the side and the tether snaps. Well, why does the tether snap? It's because these are so stiff, they're virtually static, so the forces generated can be ridiculous and snap. You know, force equals mass times acceleration or deceleration. And when you decelerate over, you know, 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, those forces are massive. This and this are both dynamic ropes. So this one's a climbing rope, so specifically designed to be loaded by shock loaded and designed to stretch. Same with this. So if you can take the difference between the stretch in this and the stretch in this, could be 400% more here, 4 times as much in this or more, which put very simply means it's 1/4 of the force. So you got less of a chance of snapping the tether, breaking the anchor, breaking your jack line when you use something dynamic. And this comes, it's been well proven out of the climbing community over 150 years, almost 200 years of rope development, that this dynamic compared to static is a massive difference in the forces generated. Nobody climbs on a static rope, and now a lot of people now, even for clipping to the side of the mountain, are going to these, which are dynamic. Major difference. So those are some food for thought for today. I think down the road, nobody's talked about this yet, but we've all read the books where the tether or the rope snapped when somebody went over the side, and the reason why is we were using static line. The forces generated are massive. I think at some point the manufacturer of these are going to figure this out like they have in the climbing world. You know, hopefully it doesn't take them 50 years like it did in the climbing world. The other thing too, as you can see, I'm wearing a climbing harness, and yeah, climbing harnesses are also designed to be, you know, fallen on. They're easy to carry your gear. And for those of you that haven't been watching, I mean, I still do wear a vest, although I'm considering dispensing with this and either going with nothing or going with a ski vest, because when this inflates, and I'll show you here what I'm talking about, is, okay, here we are, you know, we're minding our own business, and let me just I'll just show you quickly. Okay, here we'll use the old school one here, just quickly. Okay, so you go over the side, and suddenly now you gotta self-rescue yourself like this. You can't, and maybe it's gonna just slip off, right? Like, you can't, and imagine now if this is inflated and you're trying to execute a self-rescue. If you go over the side single-handed like this and you're being dragged by the boat, this thing inflates. Even with the self-rescue gear, it's probably a death sentence. I don't mind telling you, it's a death sentence, and I don't think that's exaggerating it. Compared to, just to show you in summary, okay, there's the difference. This thing is designed, it's got the forces in the right spot. It can withstand a load. It's not going to break your ribs. It's not going to break your neck. Honestly, on a climbing harness, not necessarily proud of it, but I've taken an 80-foot fall on a rock climb, you know, wearing one of these harnesses. Now you can do anything you want. This is self-rescue on the side of the boat, you know, so to me, okay, this is flotation only. And some people have said, yeah, Steve, but if that inflates, it's going to screw you up for your self-rescue. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And maybe I won't even bother. Or I'm going to wear a ski vest, which also, you know, serves as padding. At least in this climate, you know, look what I'm wearing. It's winter in Canada here. The ski vest gives you some, you know, it's not as much flotation, but some flotation, and will still allow you to facilitate a self-rescue. So, climbing harness, they're not that expensive. The utility is high, and just try your own test. You know, go borrow a climbing harness from somebody, or go buy one, and then try the vest and try the climbing harness, and I think you'll convince yourself within 5 minutes. The other thing, I think eventually the vest designers are going to design it something like this that includes this. It's going to happen. It should happen. In the meantime, I'm wearing a climbing harness. Anyway, that's all for now. That's the cockpit update from Respect the Risk. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, by all means. Whatever it is you're doing out there, have fun, respect the risk, and we'll see you next time.